Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Our Life Beginnings and Always, episode 11. So, we're gonna work through another moment. I think pacing-wise, it'll probably be one episode per, and then one episode to end everything. So, let's get started. Another placid summer day was drifting by. Your daydreams were chasing each other, none sticking around long enough to become a firm plan. But you really didn't mind that right now. A tapping worked its way into those dreams. Focusing more, you realized it was coming from your window. A grin popped on your face, as though it had been waiting all day for this moment. Heading to the window, you could see Cove outside. His habit of climbing this way really was a true Coveism. Not a Coveism. He'd rather scale your house than wait a couple extra minutes for you to come down. We're gonna help him in. That's nice. You offered Cove a hand to help him. Once he was mostly inside, he took it to help steady the last bit of his entrance. Though considering how many times he'd done this, he hardly needed the help. Hey, Mandy. Hey to you. You think my mom should invest in some bigger windows? Ha. Cove laughed at that and took one last look at his exclusive entrance. He hummed with a teasing look on his face. It'd make my life easier, that's for sure. Cove's voice came out quietly with a strangely pleased smile on his face. Did something happen? Cove opened his mouth to answer, only to have your phone ringing cut him off. You both turned to where it rested a little further up on your bed. It was still face down, so you couldn't tell who was calling. It's okay. Your attention shot back to Cove. He smiled at you awkwardly.
Don't worry about it.
Go check it. It could be important. I'll wait. Thanks. You shuffled for... I didn't realize I needed your permission. Just kidding. Could you imagine being like, the audacity of you, sir? You shuffled forward and scooped the little noisemaker into your hand. You flipped it over and checked the caller ID. It's Miranda. Oh, you should answer it. I want to say hi, too. With a nod, you accepted the call and set it to speaker. Hi, Miranda. Hi. Uh-oh. There was something off about her tone. Cove met your gaze, and you saw the same confusion in his expression.
Have you heard from Terry?
Have you heard from Terry at all, or did you hear about her from Cove? Huh? No, she hasn't called me, but Cove is with me right now. Hey. Oh, hi, Cove. Is that what you were going to say? He shook his head no before realizing that it wasn't a good enough answer when one person couldn't actually see it. No, Terry hasn't called me today either. Is something wrong? At that, Miranda couldn't hold herself together any longer. The muffled sobs from the other side of the line were unmistakable. Oh my god! Uh-oh. Uh-oh, we got drama. We got drama, gang. Terry doesn't like me anymore if she ever did. What? That doesn't sound right. You're probably her best friend out of all of us. Yeah, why do you think that? She sniffled, and there was a pause as you could hear her shift the phone to her other hand. Terry was here the other night watching movies with me. We were up super late. She realized her parents probably went to bed, so they couldn't pick her up. My mom and dad were definitely asleep then. Dad works early. I tried telling her it was okay just to spend the night. She could text her parents what happened. But Terry didn't really want to. You glanced at Cove. He looked equally unsure as you about where the story was going. Didn't sound like a friendship ending situation. I suggested things to make it easier if she was nervous. Like she could sleep by herself in my room while I stayed somewhere else. Yeah. And I said we didn't have to sleep at all. We could have just kept watching movies until one of our parents woke up. I wouldn't have minded. I know not everyone can do sleepovers, but Terry wouldn't even tell me what was really wrong or what I could do to help. I thought we could tell each other anything. I guess I was wrong. Did she stay in the end?
No.
No, we got too loud in the kitchen and my dad woke up. He offered to drive her home when he heard what was wrong. She texted me apologizing for my dad having to do that when he needed to rest, but that was it. She isn't talking to me anymore. When did this happen? 12 hours ago? Could you imagine? You could hear every bit of the tears and heartbreak in Miranda's voice. This continued to be a shock for your neighbor. but Cove recovered and spoke gently. I'm really sorry. There's no way Terry wanted to make you feel this bad, or that she's just done with your friendship because of this. Miranda's sniffing continued. You hoped she had plenty of tissues handy. It'll be okay. It had to be. You couldn't imagine any alternative. Miranda's voice sounded a little bit more collected after finishing her story, but you knew that crying was far from being done. I thought she'd have reached out to one of you by now. Maybe she's not talking to anyone. Yeah. Sorry for bothering you and Cove about this. Hey, we're here for you. Right, you can tell us things. Thank you. Her shaking voice finally conveyed a little optimism, or at least relief that she wasn't dealing with it entirely on her own. If you do hear from her or anything, could you let me know if she's alright? We can. Thanks. Let's talk later, okay? Bye. 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 That didn't really seem like an especially productive point to end the call, though you also weren't sure where to go from there. Looking to Cove, his face seemed as lost as yours. With no alternative, you hung up and put your phone back on your bed. Cove crossed his arms, a frown creasing his face. He began to pace the length of your room, clearly trying to put the pieces together in his head in a way that made sense. I think you'd be worried. Biting the inside of your cheek, you stared at the ground. Hearing Miranda so distraught like that was not easy. What about Terry? The uncertainty was tearing you up. The empty state of your head before learning this was not helping you now. You couldn't put two thoughts together, and flopping back on your bed, you stared into space. We should probably try calling Terry. Cove's voice managed to drag you back to some grounding. He'd stopped pacing, but you still saw a perturbed look on his face. Yeah, I'm worried about her too. You bounced up and moved to his side, ready to act on whatever plan you two could come up with. Cove started with the easiest thing. He pulled out his phone and called Terry. Cove let it ring and ring and ring and ring. Terry didn't answer. There wasn't even an option to leave a voice message. Your shoulders slumped and Cove looked even more troubled, if that was possible. He turned to you as if for some lifeline. Could you try calling? I'm gonna send a text just like, hey, was trying to reach you, call me or something. Yeah. You took your phone once more. Fortunately, after another set of interminable rings, the line went dead. No answer, no voicemail. Hanging up, you saw Cove visibly deflate. He rubbed his arm, eyes distant, openly struggling with the whole affair. I don't like this at all. They're fighting, we barely know anything. We're supposed to just wait and see? Despite it only being a minute since he texted Terry, Cove checked his phone again. He was desperate for progress, for something. You frowned as you watched him. You need to try and relax. Cove stared hard at the screen as though he was trying to will a new message to appear. As your words sank in, his gaze slid over towards you. Just a little bit? Come on, you're working yourself up. Closing his eyes, he took a deep breath and released it slowly. It wasn't much, but you could see him ease up slightly. Yeah, you're probably right. Cove was still gripping his phone with both hands as though it might fly away if he let go. He looked to you with almost painful earnestness. Sorry? What do we even say if we do hear from one of them? His pacing resumed as he attempted to answer his own question. We should probably tell them to talk to each other instead of only us, maybe. He slowly came to another halt, like a gear winding down. Listen, we could be, mediators. We should find out Terry's side of the story. Nothing could be done until you know what she thought of this. That much was certain. Cove nodded slightly in agreement. For several minutes, you both remained there in silence, drowning in your thoughts. Eventually, Cove turned around. I'm gonna text Terry that we already know what's going on. Maybe she'll have an easier time talking to us because she won't have to pretend or explain. I would say I think you're pushing too much. Cove's eyebrows grew together and his grip on his phone tightened. Cove, just because you're upset doesn't mean you can cross lines, especially when we still don't know the whole story. Cove bit his bottom lip. You could see in his posture that you'd made sense to him, but he was fighting his desire to agree with you and keep going his own way. I know you're still thinking about it. Stop. His aquamarine eyes practically pierced your soul with how plaintive they were. That could knock down mountains. Would it really be so bad? Yes, you have to give it time. You can talk to me instead. For a long moment, he held that crushing stare. Thankfully, he let out a breath in defeat, and you felt your own breathing relax. A small noise escaped his lips. All the frustration at the situation crumbled away from his face, and he spoke softly. Thanks, Mandy. I'm glad it's not just me with all this happening. Cove took one last look at his phone and then put it away. His effort at a smile was meager but earnest.
It's okay.
We can just forget about it for a while. Terry will talk to us when she wants to. You smiled just a little bit. Even this slight lessening of tension between you and Cove was working wonders on your shaking heart. The last thing any of you needed was more division among your friends. A silence stretched on in what felt like hours, but it likely wasn't that long before there was a knock at your bedroom door and Mom peeked in. Just wanted to check in on you. Oh, Cove, when did you get here? Don't ask questions. When she saw you were there, she opened up the door all the way and Ma was standing there as well. She slipped past her wife to come inside your space. What's going on? We're okay. It's just Miranda called earlier. She and Terry are fighting, but none of us know what's going on with Terry. Your parents exchanged a meaningful look, though its meaning was lost on you.
I'm so sorry.
That's too bad. I'm sorry there's trouble with your friend, sweetie. Is there anything we can do to help? Out of the corner of your eye, you saw Cove rub his arm awkwardly, unable to add anything. No, we're just waiting to see if Terry calls or texts, or if Miranda does. Well, we can at least help you take your mind off things while you're waiting.
Yeah.
Another great idea, Lonnie. We can get the whole gang together for some quality time. Mom gave you a soft smile and added, this will be good, especially since it might make up for what happened at the farmer's market. Listen, they're really hung up on this farmer's market. Yes, it'll be wonderful. I'll go see what Liz is up to right now. Excited, she fluttered a few steps away, and then stopped. She pivoted on her heels and raised a single finger, flashing a big smile at Cove.
It's no trouble.
And of course, Cliff will be welcome too. Knowing your family was always there for you, that couldn't be underestimated. In fact, it meant everything to you that your moms cared so much. I really appreciate this. Thank you. Yeah, thanks. That's nice of you.
You're welcome.
You're both very welcome. Don't sweat it. Not so, kiddos. Leave things to us. Just relax and we'll call you when it's all together. You nodded and your moms dispersed for now, springing into action for their impromptu get-together. You flopped down on your bed, feeling like you could sink into it and disappear. Cove, meanwhile, took a spot on a chair off to the side. You sighed at the same time, and Cove's mouth pulled into a bent smile at that. He gave his phone another quick check and his eyebrows furrowed. Still nothing? Yep, this is crap, huh? Yep. Cove chewed the inside of his cheek as if to mimic the stress that was clearly eating away at him. Cove, what's wrong? What's really wrong? One disagreement doesn't make you act like this. That got a pointed pause in his movement. Cove was carefully trying to put his thoughts together. He spoke in a fragile voice. When people you care about, when they're unhappy with each other, there's nothing you can do. At least when you're in a fight with yourself, you have some responsibility, some control over it all. I wish it didn't have to happen. But that isn't possible, so, oh well, I guess. His attempt at giving a nonchalant shrug after that was pitiable. Yeah, it makes me feel horrible too. In your lap, your hands momentarily curled into fists. This kind of powerlessness, it wore you down. You looked to Cove and were reassured by his understanding nod. There was a question you had to ask. Is it because of what happened with your parents? Cove ran a hand through his hair, a strained smile spreading across his lips. For him, This pain struck close to his heart. Just as quickly as it had come, his smile was gone, lost amidst his faraway gaze. Yeah, you got it. It's like my parents. Despite knowing him for so many years, Cove had never spoken of the years before he moved to Sunset Bird, before his parents separated in any detail. He whispered his thoughts distantly, almost unconcerned with whether you could hear them or not. They used to fight all the time. I think they got along when I was a baby. I mean, they had to have wanted to be with each other at some point. But when I was old enough to remember anything, it was already bad. There was always something wrong. I could never help. I just wanted them to be happy. You tried to imagine your mom's breaking up, and the very idea scared you. But Cove had endured that for real. I'm sorry. Mandy.
Don't worry about it.
It's okay. Despite that revelation, Cove gazed reassuringly at you. It's not like that anymore. Things are so different now. I don't even really think about it. Again, the sorrow reasserted itself. When he continued, you could barely hear him. Though, I guess it was pretty obvious I haven't forgotten either. He needs a hug. You crossed the room, picking up a little bit of speed, and Cove's eyes widened. He shot out of the chair and stood waiting for you with a nonplussed look. When you collided into him, wrapping your arms around his middle and knocking the air out of his lungs, all mystery was gone. Cove squeaked. Oh. He returned the gesture longingly. Exhaling, you pressed your cheek into the warmth of his chest. The tension stuck inside you, released like a river flowing into the ocean that was Cove. The firmness of his hug told you Cove didn't plan on letting you go anytime soon. You both needed the comfort and closeness for just a little bit longer. When he finally did, he kept hold of your hand. The two of you took a seat again, this time side by side on your bed. Today was a lot, huh? Yeah, it was. You leaned against him, resting the side of your head on his shoulder. You glanced up at his face. Cove watched you affectionately. In that gentle gaze, you finally felt like everything was going to be okay. No matter what happens, we can make it work. His mouth pulled into a bent smile at that. You chuckled, resting your head comfortably back on his shoulder.
Me too.
I think so too. He couldn't sit still anymore. Cove leaned in, delicately pressing his lips to your forehead, and he raised one free hand to lightly touch your jaw. The breath got caught in your throat. When you remembered to breathe, Girl said, I forgot how to breathe. Blood rushed to your face, turning your skin a deep red. You tried not to think about how hot you were feeling, because after everything that happened today, you were just grateful for the moment. And for a while you stayed like that. A comfortable quiet fell between you. The sun fell with it. They didn't get the thing ready yet? It was a long time. The warm and calm ended when Cove gasped sharply. You spun, half expecting to find him nursing an injury, but instead found him staring straight ahead. What?
Oh my god.
I think my phone just vibrated. Oh my god. Check it out. Right. He patted his pockets, fumbling in his panic, and yanked the phone out. The force of the action nearly catapulted the device out of his grip entirely, but he caught it just in time. Could you imagine if he threw it across the room? His eyes honed in on the screen. It's Terry, thank God. She says she's sorry. He looked back at you, eyes wide, as nerves started to fray once more. What should I say? Call us. Okay. He flashed you a shaky smile as he began to type. He suspected that he'd had similar thoughts himself, but wanted the reassurance of a second opinion. Cove's phone buzzed nearly as soon as the message was sent. Ah, it's Terry again. She's talking to us. You leaned in, watching the conversation unfold on Cove's screen. She's gonna actually call. Cove held his breath as he waited. Though he was good with people, he'd never been at ease managing conflict. His phone rang out. Cove jammed the answer button. He switched the phone into speaker mode, allowing you to participate in the conversation. You know, this is a random thought. Isn't it interesting how it feels like speaker has stayed the same, no matter how, new phones have come out? I just feel like it's always been the same clarity. And I could be being delulu about it, but I don't think it's gotten any better. But despite his immediate reaction, his voice lacked the same resolve when he spoke. Hey. It was tentative, a white flag fluttering in the wind. Mandy is here too. Hi, we've been worried about you. Hey, buddies. Terry's voice was barely recognizable without her usual quick patter and energy.
Okay.
Are things okay? I don't know, probably not. Cove tensed, his free hand coiling into an anxious fist. Can you talk to us about what happened? You heard Terry sigh over the phone as she unburdened herself. Pretty much, I was at Randy's house. We decided to watch some movies she super liked that I'd never even seen before. Turns out there's a lot of those. We watched one, then another, and another. We were having so much fun. Each time one finished, she had another one to share with me. I didn't really think about the time. I only wanted to say yes to Randy and watch her movies. She spoke wistfully, but her words were full of affection. It was Randy, you know? Wasn't thinking about my schedule or what time it was. I get it. Then I finally saw the time, and oh no, it was way too late. I already knew I couldn't stay. She took a deep breath, her voice becoming softer when she resumed talking. I was so stressed out, I just couldn't deal with it. Miranda wanted to help. She kept coming up with ways to make it better, trying to figure out why I was so upset and stuff. I was trying to answer her questions, and there were so many, but I couldn't really answer all of them. I didn't even know why some of her ideas didn't work with me. It made my head ache. I still had the first problem, and Randy was there trying to help, blasting all these questions and suggestions at me faster than I could even think. She gulped audibly, sniffing. I got frustrated and told her to just leave me alone, but then she wanted to talk about why I wanted that, and we started having a fight in the kitchen. It woke up Randy's dad. When we told him about how I wanted to go home, but my parents couldn't get me, so Mr. Eckert offered to do it. That's nice of him. Terry groaned. I know. I accepted, because I definitely couldn't stay then. Not after throwing a racket and turning it into a big deal. But I feel awful and embarrassed. Why did I yell at Randy and hurt her feelings? And I made her dad lose sleep by waking him up and having to drive me home. What do you say after that? I have no idea. I don't know where to start. I don't want to make it worse by saying the wrong thing and fighting again. So I'm not talking. Terry, Randy isn't mad that you didn't want to stay or that you fought. She just wants to feel like you can talk to her. I mean, you can say whatever you want. She'll listen. Not talking to her at all is pretty much the only wrong way to go about it. Terry lamented mournfully on the other end of the line. But he had a point. Unless she faced Miranda again, there would be no resolution. He looked at Cove, hunched over the phone, staring pensively into it and searching for a solution. This couldn't be solved with the other key party missing, but what if you brought them in? Your phone was still free. You suggested. I don't think you should, surprise attack. What if we called Miranda? That way you could talk to her but wouldn't have to do it alone. Cove brightened up. The concerned furrow in his brow, which had taken root when Miranda first called, eased.
Well,
That could work. Terry, are you up for it? She made a noise that wasn't a word, but nevertheless conveyed her hesitation and worry. But she brought it to a close with a decisive exhalation, as if pushing all the negative thoughts from her body. All right, I'll do it. Cove nodded. Now that you'd received approval from everyone, you pulled out your phone and called Miranda. You set it to speaker and waited for her to pick up. Luckily, she did.
Hi.
Hi, Mandy. Her voice was still distant, as if her thoughts were elsewhere, but it was loud enough for your needs. Hi, you're on speaker. Terry's on speaker too, on Cove's phone. Oh. She paused while she digested this information. You watched the phone screen, hoping that she wouldn't hang up as a result. Really? Yep, it's really me. Can you hear my voice all the way from your house to theirs and then mine? I can. You and Cove exchanged looks, waiting for the wall between them to break, wondering who would be the one to do it. As the quiet dragged on, you caught Cove chewing his cheek. He must have weighed up the same question as you, whether to encourage the conversation along or leave Miranda and Terry to resolve it themselves. The answer came in the form of one sniff followed by another from Cove's phone. Sorry, Randy. I hope you still like me. What? You were the one acting as if you didn't like me. Her tone was defensive, no doubt, a result of her wounds from last night still being so... Listen, what did I tell y'all? What did I tell y'all? I was like, this fight happened 12 hours ago. I was joking, but it absolutely did. This is teenage drama, absolutely. Teenage, very young adult drama. No way, everyone likes Randy. You're wonderful. Your eyes met Cove's. His phone was tilted towards you, capturing the call indirectly. You moved your phone closer to his, hoping that the signal was strong enough to convey every nuance of tone. Cove did likewise, bringing his cell right close to yours, even bumping against it as he shifted his grip. Wouldn't that cause a lot of, you know when you had phones close together and it made the noise that I can't think of the word for right now? I feel like it would. I didn't know what to say. That's the only reason I wouldn't talk to you. If I'd have known the answer, I'd have told you right away. Miranda murmured on the other end of the line. You didn't want to stay. Anything I tried to do bothered you, and you could have told me you didn't know. Yeah, I think I was angry at myself. I did a dumb thing, and I didn't want to help with it. Wanted to be mad and just deal with it myself. Made me keep doing dumb things. Oh. When she spoke again, her voice was quiet, as tender and vulnerable as the words.
I'm sorry.
Staying up late watching stuff was all my fault. I had to find a way to fix it. That's what I thought anyway. But I should have given you space. I'm sorry for being so pushy and sensitive. Listen, I have been both. I have been the stop talking, I can't think right now. And I have been the I screwed up, let me fix it. Please let me fix it. Hardly. Miranda Eckert having a flaw? I've never heard of such a crazy thing. Miranda let out a ghost of a giggle. Cove cleared his throat. Maybe you should call each other now? Sorry. Can do. Thanks for giving me the kick in the butt to do this already. Randy, Mandy, I'm gonna call you right now. Bye, Mandy and Cove. I think that was her nickname, but I got very confused. She hung up after squeezing in another quick bye, though not giving you or Cove room to respond in kind. Miranda laughed, the noise tinkling gently like wind chimes in a summer breeze.
You're really nice.
Thank you for listening and helping. I'm gonna hang up now so I can take Terry's call. Bye. Bye and good luck. Bye, talk to you soon. Miranda hung up, still chuckling softly as your call ended. The room felt emptier without the other voices in it. Cove expelled a sigh that crashed through the newly fallen silence. He dropped his arms to his sides, letting his head hang down like a puppet at rest. Thank God. I'm so relieved it's okay. Cove scratched at his face, his expression cloudy. I think we need to find better ways for dealing with conflict because that was awful. We could all probably do better at that. Cove meekly smiled as he rubbed his eyes, weariness creeping over him, and mumbled his next words. We can talk about it another day. Conflict resolution methods? Huh? Oh no, forget it. Your eyebrows rose, and then a light bulb went off in your head. Before Miranda called, didn't you say there was something you wanted to say? Cove's original visit had been thrown off kilter that it was a struggle to wind your memory back to when he'd first turned up. Now you did, though. You remembered that he had been perky when he arrived this afternoon. Was it good news? Cove brushed his hand against his now folded arm shyly. Well, yeah, maybe. I'm not exactly sure if it counts as news or even good. It just is what it is. Happy about it, though. You were curious, but you didn't want to push Cove if he didn't want to speak about it. You don't have to say anything, but if it makes you feel good, I think it is good news. Cove chuckled awkwardly, a hand creeping up to ruffle the hair on the back of his head. It's fine. If you want to hear, I can tell you. He shifted on his feet, as if a different posture might give him the support he needed for the conversation. I didn't want to make it a big deal, but I I just know what my sexuality is now. Brother, we have been dating? I guess you can not know. You can like kind of know, but not know. But I'm like, we haven't locked this in yet. A real subject change, huh? He chuckled. True, it was unexpected. But you were excited that Cove had come to understand himself more. I forget that I think they're like exactly 18. Me coming at this at the perspective of a 30-year-old, not that you can't figure things out, even, as you progress in life. Absolutely. But I'm like, it's been a long time since I've been 18. True, he chuckled. True, it was unexpected, but you were excited that Cove had come to understand himself more and glad he wanted to share that with you. That's great. Tell me more. Cove drew a breath, straightening up. Brother, me too. Listen, love that for him. I'm demisexual, so most of the time I don't really have those kinds of feelings, physical wants and stuff. It's only in some situations, when I'm already really emotional and romantically connected to someone, that I start to ever think about anything sexual, and it's only with them. I hadn't heard the term until pretty recently, and it just made a lot of sense. Once I knew what it meant, I had a word that fit how I felt. That is kind of how it goes. I feel like when I was growing up, they were a lot more, I don't know. It wasn't as hard to kind of find those definitions and stuff. Like, people were talking about it more, you know what I mean? So, like, I guess it clicked earlier for me. But, like, yeah. That is how it feels, because you're like, I don't know. That's why I've always been, like, a friends first girly. Because it's just, I don't even think about it until there's some sort of emotional connection. And I'm pan-romantic because I've never had a preference for a specific gender or anything. So yeah, that makes sense. Cove looked down at the floor, being so open and direct about a matter that personal, which you were sure he'd spent a long time trying to figure out, seemed to be kind of weird for him. Despite that, there was a small, proud smile on his face. And when he looked up again, his gaze was steadfast. What you thinking? Just kidding. Am I? I feel like it would fluster him and that would be fun. Gotta make him nervous, Yeah, there it is. Cove flushed and frowned equally hard at the statement. He struggled to get out a response. Yeah? You're dragging the nitty-gritty out? What kind of thoughts? Mandy, you don't need to ask that. You weren't sure if that was true, but couldn't help chuckling at how bashful he was. And no matter what, you wouldn't be getting a more explicit response than that right now. The topic was dropped. The game went, absolutely not. You get out of here. You get your filth out of here. All this talk of Cove's sexuality made you reflect about your own. I'm gonna be real with you right now. I think we identified as like bi, but I don't remember it letting us get as specific as like demisexual. We'll click that. Oh, maybe we did. I think we, it's not really that different. He had always been supportive about the topic, listening actively, and I guess nothing changed. I thought they'd let you get more specific, but it's still like those vague statements. That's what it is. He had always been supportive about the topic, listening actively and supporting you in whatever conclusion you reached. It was heartwarming that he had reached a point where he felt similarly capable of discussing his own. You felt his tiredness deep in the marrow of your bones. It had been a trying day. Now everything was neatly wrapped up, for today at least. You had earned a rest. You had some good talks come out of it, not only knowing each other better, but yourself too. Hey, we should probably head downstairs soon, if your moms are still wanting everyone to get together. I was about to say, what happened with that? The whole day shifted. Like, we're at sunset time, and nothing came up again. Yeah, that's right. With a renewed spring in your step, you led the way out of your room. You got downstairs to find the others already assembled and waiting. For hours, literally. Hello. Hey. Good to see you both. Hi. Here we were, trying to corral everyone into a group. The two of you were already upstairs this whole time. Of course we were together. You paid Mandy to stick with me, or did you forget? Get him, Cope. The statement was meaningless to your family, who looked to each other for answers in vain. Mr. Holden, who got the message loud and clear, seemed embarrassed. He chuckled, nervously rubbing the back of his neck. See, he's learning that from me. You gotta make him nervous. Just a little nervous. Ouch, son. You always know when to remind me of that one. Uh-huh. Can't let you live it down yet. Can we hear exactly what the secret is? The suspense is killing us. All right. I better get everyone up to speed. He held up his hands, palms out, pacifying his audience, or perhaps holding them up as a shield in advance. The first day I met Mandy, I'd been worrying about Cove being alone for the summer. There weren't a lot of kids around. He wasn't exactly on the best terms with me at that time. He glanced around at your family, gauging their responses. I felt like this was my one shot, so I kind of offered her $20 to be friends with Cove, and added that she couldn't tell him about it. Liz gasped. Ma was staring incredulously at Mr. Holden, while Mom's eyebrows had retreated to her hairline. You and Cove, already knowing the story, were the only ones unaffected. After a while, I really did honestly forget it even happened. He raised his hands higher, now level with his shoulders. Not a bad idea, you thought. If Mom felt inclined to throw a cushion at him, he'd probably manage to block it in time. I know that's bad, but I've had so many grand ideas over the years, it's hard to keep track of them all. Cove smiled, placing a hand on his hips and shaking his head at his father's antics. Can't believe you, though also, I totally can. Your moms were less indulgent. The shock had ebbed away to displeasure. Mom's foot was tapping rapidly as she frowned at the next door neighbor, while Ma had her arms crossed over her chest and her lips pursed. I'm sorry, Mandy, and I'm sorry to your parents too. That was way out of bounds. Don't worry about it. Everything worked out. Your moms gave each other that look, where they seemed to communicate with their eyes alone. Alright, well, that's that then. It won't happen again. Definitely won't. Listen, if it does, we're scamming him because we were gonna hang out anyway. You know what I mean? Good. It was a little surprising that they were letting him off the hook, but on the other hand, it was a long time ago now. You were sure your moms remembered those painful early days of Cove's arrival too. Mr. Holden wasn't a potential bad influence anymore, so a lecture would be pretty moot. Instead, Ma gave him a lenient smile.
In that case,
Now that that's settled, why don't we find something to do? Nods of agreement cascaded through the group, and a couple of waves at the suggestion. Mr. Holden's shoulders slumped with a release of tension. He brought his hands down, tucking them away into his pockets. How about cards? There was a murmur of interest from the others. We were keen to play. It was very nearly, but not quite, unanimous. Mr. Holden demurred. I think I'll sit this one out. Where's the fun in that? Join in. We're not too angry with you. Yes, and I know there's lots of people, but we can make it work. Mr. Holden shrunk into himself, embarrassed by their attention. Dad, you love playing cards. We do it at our house all the time. Yeah, remember the time I played over there? Those were serious games. We made bets with real money and everything. Dad? Mr. Holden broke under the combined force of everyone's attention. Cove and Mandy, you're adults now. You deserve to know the truth. I used to throw the card game so you could win. I put up a good fight, but I always made sure to lose a lot more rounds than I won. He toyed with the end of his ponytail, clearly distressed at the second great secret he was revealing today. I know people want to be taken seriously and fake wins don't mean as much, but I couldn't help myself. It's so much better when everyone else got the chance to be victorious. Kira knew and went along with it. Cove laughed in disbelief that this was the thing his dad stressed about hiding after the other stunts he's pulled over the years. So what? Lots of parents do that. I hadn't guessed it, sure, though looking back it makes sense. That's right. What's the big deal, Cliff? You can finally take the kid gloves off, give them a run for their money. Maybe even actual money in your case. Mr. Holden smiled coyly, his gaze lowering. Not sure that's a good idea.
Why?
And why not? He waved his hands expansively, the movements fluid and vague. It's just, actually, I'm something of a card shark. I used to make lots of fast cash off games. Casual players don't have a shot unless it's a game of pure luck. Cove's jaw hung open, his wide eyes fixed on his father. Really? There was a touch of amazement, even admiration nestled among the shock. The other members of the Leigh family exchanged looks, ranging from Liz's disbelief to Mom's intrigue, with Ma somewhere in the middle between the two. You can't simply make a claim like that and expect us to go along with it. Let's see you back it up, Shark Man. Mr. Holden gave her a crooked smile, his demureness quickly being replaced with the confidence of someone very skilled or very misguided. You sure about that? Definitely. We've got to see this so-called non-casual player in action. Well, I might be able. Though who knows, maybe I've gotten rusty. His coyness continued to rile the gang up. He was getting a kick out of it now.
Please?
Come on, please? Alright, I can dust off the old tricks. Great. Cove beamed at his father while Mom clapped Mr. Holden on the back. Liz darted off to get a deck of cards while the rest of you settled in for the game. Hands were dealt. Mr. Holden wasted no time proving his words true, wiping the floor with all of you. He played several rounds, even switching games, but none of you were a match for him. That was how the alliance came to be forged. The rest of you joined forces against Mr. Holden only, just to try increasing the odds of beating him. With your combined efforts, you pulled out a few victories, yet it was still a challenge. He was clearly a professional. If these were his skills now, rusty with this disuse, you couldn't even imagine what a deadly opponent he had been in the past. Despite that, you still had fun. Working cooperatively actually fostered a sense of camaraderie with the others. Mr. Holden didn't appear fazed by this strategy. You actually wondered whether the increased challenge made it more interesting for him. Well, yeah, if he's really good, I mean, not skunking everyone every time is probably more fun. You spent the rest of the afternoon together with your family and the Holdens, having fun. It was an interesting evening for sure, with many discoveries for everyone. It was freeing, and yet simultaneously you felt more tied together than you had been before. Aw, that was nice. That was a nice one. We got friends back together. We revealed truths. Beautiful, beautiful. Everybody happy. Okay, so we are gonna wrap up here for today. Thank you so much for watching. I had fun. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see y'all back here tomorrow. Bye, gang. Love y'all.